Good afternoon, friends. Welcome to my kitchen. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Janice. I'm a Thermomix consultant. Now this is a bit of a bonus video because I wasn't planning on doing this, but then I thought, why not? So I'll just start off. This here is a folder that I was given at a kitchen tea when I got engaged. And I was given recipes and everything in here. And here we've got the meatball recipe that I converted onto a Thermomix recipe, and I've got it shared on the Thermomix recipe community. And I've done a video of it. And we've got a few other ones in here. The one that I'm doing today is not in here, but my story was anyway. That there was what I started with. And this here is what it's turned out to be. So this is, I don't know. I did this when I got my very first computer. I converted this into, into a document, and I had a recipe book, program, and it was the great big 5.5-inch floppy disks that you plugged into your computer and you saved everything on that, and it was all done in DOS, and I had a dot matrix printer. Anyway, it's a long time since that. Let's just cancel that because it's going to shut down on me. So I've got a recipe here that I've written up, and this one here is what I've been making for years and years. It's my eldest son. This is his absolute favourite meatloaf. So I'm going to convert it to a Thermomix recipe and put it up on the recipe community. And so I was just going to have a bit of a play with a recipe I found on Cookie-Doo and translate that recipe and see how best to write it up. So I thought I would do the video and show you what I'm doing. Rightio, so starting off, in my week I saved, it's just called meatloaf, and it's a meatloaf with a glaze on it. So we'll start cooking. So I've got my recipe here of what I'm doing, and I've got the ingredients all prepared for this recipe. And I'm just going to follow along with this one and see, because it's got similar ingredients. Okay. So I'm not going to preheat the oven. I'm not quite ready to pop it in the oven yet, so I'll do that later. I'm just going to start the recipe and then we'll cook it when we're nearly ready for tea. But I wanted to do this first. Okay, and it says to line a loaf pan with baking paper. So this is my favourite loaf pan, and I've just sprayed it with cooking spray. So we've got a few flies around today. They're doing my head in. Rightio, it says 100 grams of yellow onions. So what I've got here is, it's just a medium-sized onion, which is what is requested. It says a medium-sized onion, finely chopped. So what's that weigh? Now 108 grams, there we go. And I didn't have a clue how much that was going to weigh. Okay, so now next, 20 grams of garlic cloves. Hang on, I'll grab the garlic. No, we're not putting garlic in it. Remember, we're making my recipe. I just suddenly thought, why didn't I have garlic? But that's why. 3 sprigs of fresh parsley, so I don't have that. And now we're going to chop it. So we're making my recipe, not this recipe. And we're going to chop that 15 seconds on speed 8. I need a spatula. So the recipe I've got there, it just says to prepare all your ingredients and then mix them all in a bowl. So it's finely chopped. Give it a scrape down. I scrape down the sides with the spatula, and now add 900 grams of mince. So this is, it's a little bit under a kilo of mince. So this is just 2 packets of mince, which is 2 500-gram packets of mince, my recipe says. So because I always buy bulk mince and then freeze it up into 450 to 500 gram packets, because I found that that is the perfect amount for anything I'm doing. If I want to make a bigger recipe, I just get 2, but 500 grams is like 2 cups of mince, and that's perfect for a small meal. I'm going to wash my hands. I've got meat juice all over it, and I'll be right back. Rightio. Now it says to add 2 eggs, which is what my recipe says. A tablespoon of flour, which is not in this recipe. It says 500 grams of tomato ketchup. So, where do I put that? Oh, it's in there. Mine says a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce and a teaspoon of soy sauce. Let's put that there. So let's go. A tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce is about 20 grams. And a teaspoon of soy sauce is about 5 grams. And now I don't know if that's exactly what they weigh, but they're around that much, and I just find it's easier to just weigh that in than it is to get measuring spoons out. Now this one's got breadcrumbs in it. Mine hasn't. Mine had the flour instead. Then we've got what is it? A teaspoon of curry powder. I haven't got a teaspoon measure here, so half a teaspoon of mixed herbs. I'm leaving that out today. And it says 80 grams of milk. So I think that's about a third of a cup. A third of a cup would be around 250, so a third of that would be about 80 grams. So I'm going to go with the 80 grams. Spot on. Look at that. Okay, next. A teaspoon of salt. Some black pepper. Two teaspoons of Italian herbs. So, and that's also in my recipe, but I'm not adding that in. Half a teaspoon of ground black pepper, a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. We've already added that. 1.5 teaspoons of beef stock powder. It's got paprika, and then I'm just going to check that I've added everything from my recipe. So I've added the mince, the salt and pepper, the curry powder, Worcestershire sauce, onion, milk, eggs, flour, mixed herbs if we want, soy sauce, and then you can also add a little can of the sliced mushrooms if you want, but I'm not going to today. So, and now we're going to knead that for 2 minutes. So I'm going to stand here and watch it to make sure it doesn't wiggle off the bench, but I won't make you watch. Rightio. Then it says, transfer meat mixture to prepared loaf pan, and that's what we're at here. Let's have a look and see if it's mixed properly. We might have to give it another knead. Oh, look at that. Okay, so this is my meatloaf recipe, and I'm saying I'm liking this already. I have mixed up a meatloaf, and other than that little bit of meat juice on my hands, I've got nothing sticky on my hands with this meatloaf. So I think I like this already. Okay. Okay, let's see if we can get all this out of here. Now I have a feeling that this recipe says to wash, it says to place prepared meatloaf on a baking tray. So I'm not going to, I'm just going to leave it like that. And then we're going to bake the meatloaf for this says 40 minutes, mine says 20. So we're going to do the 20. And then I'll see what it looks like. Few air bubbles, let's get them out. Okay. And what mine says moderate oven, which is 180, theirs says 180. Okay, so now it says to place a bowl on the mixing bowl lid. So let's get a bowl. Here we go, here's a bowl. Oops, we need the lid on. Hang on, we're just going to use the scales. Okay. It says 180 grams of tomato ketchup. Rightio. So what mine is, the only thing I'm going to use mine for is to weigh in 20 grams of oil. So I'm still enjoying the fact that my hands aren't all coated with, you know, fatty meat. Rightio. Then I want so it's to combine, we need a dessert spoon of sugar, which is half a tablespoon. So it's 10 grams or half a tablespoon of sugar. Then we want 1.5 teaspoons of dried mustard. This is a half teaspoon. yeah, that's a half teaspoon, so that's 3 of them. And then we want 3 tablespoons of a fruit chutney or something like that. So this is what I use. This comes out of my fridge. I make a lot of chutney and that. And so these are all the leftover bits at the end of a batch after I put it all in the bottle. I mean, this is, I sell the rest or give it away. But this is what I use for chutney, is all the end bits. And I've got so much in my fridge. So I've put in there a tomato relish. This one here, I think, is a mango chutney. No, the first one must have been the pear chutney. This one here is tomato relish. Give this a mix up and I'll see if that's enough. Otherwise I'll have to go digging for another bottle. Okay, so 3. 1, 2, perfect. Rightio. And we just mix that up. And we cook that, we're going to put that in the oven for 20 minutes. And when it comes out, we're going to brush this over the top and then cook it for the rest of the time. So in this one it says to make the sauce. They've got vinegar, oh, lots of yummy stuff. Okay. Rightio. And it pretty much then continues on the same as my recipe. And then once I'll be back. I'll be back when I get this out and I'm ready to paint this on. In the meantime, I'm going to clean up my mess, and I'm going to pop these in the fridge until later. And then when I'm ready to cook, I'll come back. Okay, I've had this in the oven for 20 minutes, and then it says the recipe is to spread this on top, and then pop it back in the oven for another 20 minutes, or until it's cooked. And this gives it a lovely shiny caramelised glaze. And I'm going to pop that back in the oven for another 20 minutes, and then I'll test it to see if it's cooked. And then when it's cooled down enough, we'll come back for a taste. So it's nearly tea time. I've got the table set. We've got meatloaf, potato salad, and just a green salad. But I'll give this a little taste. I don't know if you can see. Now this is out of the oven. It's still hot, but this is only warm. See, that's got nice browned crust. All right. Get some of the gravy out of the bottom. There's a bit of sauce and gravy in the bottom from out of the meatloaf. You can see that. So that tastes, that's perfect. I mean, that's my recipe. That's exactly what it should taste like. Yeah, so what I'll do is I will see if I can, I will put this recipe, how we did it then, into the recipe community, and I'll share it, and then I'll link the I'll link it down below. So that was just showing how very easy it is to convert a conventional recipe to a Thermomix recipe just using an existing recipe that is close. I mean, it wasn't exact. I mean, the ingredients were different, some of the steps were different, but it was still close. I mean, I know this was very simple. I mean, this was a meatloaf. I mean, the really good thing is not having to mix it up by hand. I mean, that, and not getting all the meat all over your hands and all the meat and fat all over your hands and in your fingers, under your fingernails. But anyway, that's the finished product. So thanks very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Pop over to my channel and subscribe. And I really hope I'll see you next time.